Welcome back to Secrets of Buried Stories. For centuries, Paris has been celebrated for its beauty, its art, its vibrant life above ground. But beneath the cobblestone streets lies a vast, silent antithesis, a labyrinthine network of tunnels holding the remains of over 6 million souls. These are the Paris Catacombs, a city of the dead, created in the late 18th century to alleviate overflowing cemeteries. While a small section is open to the public, the vast majority extends for hundreds of miles, a forbidden, dangerous, and utterly dark realm known only to a daring few who call themselves cataphiles. It is within these uncharted depths that true secrets are buried, and some things are best left undisturbed. Our story follows Pascal, not a historian or a thrill-seeker looking for a quick scare, but a seasoned cataphile, intimately familiar with the official tours and much of the known forbidden network. He sought not fame, but a deeper connection to the history, a sense of being where few living souls had trod. He navigated by memory, by subtle changes in air currents, by carefully drawn illicit maps shared among the community, and by the sheer, terrifying practice of not getting lost. But Pascal was looking for something legendary, even among cataphiles. A rumored section said to be cut off centuries ago, deeper and older than the main ossuary network, potentially predating even the repurposing of the quarries. Whispers called it the Veins of Stone, a place where the tunnels weren't just bone-lined passages, but something different, something wrong. Pascal had found cryptic markers, subtle discrepancies in old quarry maps compared to the bone-filled reality, enough to suggest this hidden area was more than just a myth. One cold night, he descended through a hidden manhole cover, disappearing from the living city above. The air grew cold and damp instantly, carrying the pervasive dry scent of bone and earth. His headlamp beam cut a lonely path through the oppressive blackness. He navigated the familiar tunnels, the silent, watchful skulls staring from their intricate arrangements, a constant, unsettling reminder of the millions around him. The sheer weight of the earth above, the countless dead below and around him, was a physical presence, a pressure on the air and on the mind. Hours passed. He followed a series of increasingly obscure markers, squeezing through narrow passages that felt as though they were trying to close in on him, wading through flooded sections where the water was unnaturally still and cold. The silence of the main tunnels gave way to a deeper quiet, broken only by his own breathing, the splash of his boots, and a faint, low hum that seemed to come from the very rock itself. The temperature dropped further. He found the entrance to the Veins of Stone just as his map suggested, a section of wall that looked solid, but yielded to pressure, revealing a tunnel that wasn't lined with bones. This passage was older, rougher-hewn, the rock dark and glistening, not with water, but something viscous and metallic-smelling. The air here was heavy, carrying that strange hum and a faint, unsettling whisper that seemed to swirl just beyond hearing, a multitude of voices speaking in an unknown tongue. Pushing deeper, the tunnel twisted unnaturally. The hum grew louder, resonating in his teeth. The whispers intensified, no longer just ambient sound, but seeming to press in on his mind, disorienting him, injecting thoughts that weren't his own, fear, despair, and an intense alien hunger. His headlamp flickered violently, the beam distorting, bending in ways that defied physics. The walls of the tunnel seemed to pulse faintly with the hum. He stumbled into a chamber that was not man-made, vast, cavernous, its walls smoothed and shaped by something other than water or tools. In the center stood a colossal dark stone structure, intricately carved with symbols unlike anything he had ever seen, pulsing with that same unsettling hum. The whispers here were deafening, a cacophony of unknown voices and raw, suffering emotion, seeming to emanate from the stone structure itself. And around the base of the structure, half covered by centuries of sediment and the dark, glistening residue, were bones. Not neatly stacked like in the ossuaries, but scattered, broken, in poses that suggested a final, desperate struggle. These bones looked older, different. He had found the buried secret, not just a hidden part of the catacombs, but something far older, something that had been there before Paris. A place of immense power, or perhaps a place of containment, into which the bones of millions had been unwittingly placed, amplifying whatever was here. The whispers weren't just echoes. They were the collected agony and consciousness of everyone buried above this point, drawn down, trapped and amplified by the ancient stone. The structure wasn't a monument. It was a conduit, a prison, or something waiting. The moment he fully grasped the horror, the chamber reacted. The hum became a deafening roar. The whispers resolved into a unified shriek of cosmic despair and intense, directed malevolence. The dark residue on the walls seemed to flow, forming vaguely humanoid shapes that lunged towards him, abstract forms born of shadow and bone dust. The stone structure pulsed violently, its light flaring, casting impossible shifting shadows that danced with terrifying speed. The air grew impossibly heavy, pushing down on him, threatening to crush his very will. Panic seized him. There was no thought of exploration or discovery, only a primal need to escape this place that had consumed millions. He turned and fled, scrambling back down the passage, the horrors of the chamber pouring out behind him, manifesting as chilling cold spots, disembodied hands that seemed to grab at his clothes, and the relentless, soul-shattering roar of the trapped voices in his mind. The tunnels themselves seemed to shift, the walls feeling closer, the path ahead twisting and changing. He was lost, not just geographically, but within the horrifying, bone-filled consciousness that now permeated the deep earth. Fighting disorientation and sheer terror, guided only by a desperate instinct, he stumbled through the suffocating dark, the whispers screaming his name now, promising oblivion, absorption into the countless dead. He saw glimpses of impossible things in the flickering light, faces forming in the walls of bone, skeletal hands reaching from between the neatly stacked femurs, the very air seeming to ripple with silent screams. The weight of the earth, the weight of the dead, pressed down, trying to hold him. Hours later, covered in grime, shivering violently, his headlamp beam weak and flickering, he stumbled out of a narrow, muddy tunnel and into a section he recognized near an old sealed entrance. He scrambled up a hidden ladder, pushed aside a heavy grate, and emerged, not onto a Parisian street, but into a small, disused cellar, miles from where he'd entered. He had escaped, physically at least. But the silence of the cellar felt wrong after the chorus of the dead. The smell of bone and damp earth seemed permanently etched in his nostrils. And sometimes, in the deepest quiet of the night, Pascal could still hear, just at the edge of his hearing, the faintest murmur of a million trapped voices whispering his name, calling to him from the terrifying darkness beneath the city, from the deepest buried secrets of the Paris catacombs.